to start off with an alternate nostril breathing, which also is helpful with that kind of clearing our system. If you get a little bit sniffly, you might want a tissue. It will like really clear physically out the system around your nasal cavities. So just kind of be aware of that, or know that you might run up and grab something. Take your index finger and your thumb together, or your index finger and your middle finger in towards the base of your thumb. It's like this weird gesture. And then your middle finger, you're gonna put it at your left nostril, and your thumb goes with your right nostril. And you're just gonna gently use the thumb and the finger to close those nostrils when I say so, but you don't have to like pinch anything or be too loud. Just give it a breath on your own through both nostrils. Inhale, exhale. And then put your ring finger over your left nostril and inhale through your right nostril. And then switch, close the right one, open the left one, and exhale. Stay there as you inhale. Switch, exhale. Stay there as you inhale. Switch, exhale. Again, stay there as you inhale. Switch as you exhale. Keep going like that. Switching whichever nostril you are closing every time you breathe out. Just like grounding, root chakra focused. Physical postures are helpful when we're feeling a little disoriented or experiencing change. Dedicated, mindful breathing practices like this can be very centering to us, because it's unusual and it requires a little bit more of our focus. Wherever you're at in this continuous loop alternating around your breath, go one more time each side, or whatever else you have to do so that you have another round of breath or so, and then end exhaling through your right nostril, so with your thumb open. Whenever you get to that point is fine. Once you've gotten to that point, just place your hands down in your lap and let the palms face down, a little bit more turning inwards. Just feeling this steadiness in your body. If you do feel a little tingly or stuffy, go ahead and grab a tissue, come back. There's no time limit or choreography to this practice. It's you being with you. What's kind of neat in this practice of us turning inwards, if we have this intention of being focused and kind to ourselves, compassionate to ourselves, just as we would to any other loved one, the impact is pretty powerful. Source reference Shavasana at the end. So keep carrying this intention through your practice. Be here, be kind to yourself. Take a big breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. you start to open up your eyes, you're gonna unwind your legs if you've had them folded up at all. Come onto your seat, maybe do a little rock side to side so you feel just a little bit more stable on your sits bones. You'll hold onto your feet or your ankles. And you're gonna start to kind of stir the body around. The ankles seem a little bit better for the leaning back. Just kind of roll your torso around. Notice some shifting from side to side, kind of rocking. And they'll start to go in the other direction. It's not like a right or a wrong way to this. It's just move around in space, which is starting to loosen up. And then once you feel like you've probably gone an even amount of times in both directions, we'll settle a little bit more in the center and take a gentle cat-cow in the spine. So as you inhale, feel your heart lifting up and forward. And then as you exhale, let your heart and your belly soften back. Inhale, open those collarbones, drop the shoulders down. And exhale, roll it back. Inhaling, opening up the front. Exhale, rolling back. You might feel a little rock around in your pelvis. One more round like this. And lifting yourself up. If you're seated up on anything, then go ahead and take that off to the side. You're just going to take your right leg, you're just going to fold that right leg over so you've got this kind of pinwheel shape. And then you're going to twist over towards your left side. There's a little bit of a leaning over, but try to stay mostly lifted and let this belly, these lower ribs soften in as you twist. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then you're going to start leaning down onto your left forearm. You might take the right forearm down. Maybe the left forearm was good and you just stay here where it's a little bit softer. Leave the knee down and let your hip lift up, if anything lifts up. Notice my foot is not very close to my hip here. I've got some space. It's just a little bit better for that knee joint. One more breath in. Breathing out. Then cross your right hand over, so going back where you started and kind of walking yourself up. And you're going to come over your left thigh, maybe your right leg back a little bit further. So I'm laying over on the side of the thigh. We're going to stay here for a while. If you don't feel a lot, try to bring your body more over your shin than your thigh. So make it a little bit more intense in that hip opening. And we're going to stay here for a little over a minute. So go someplace where you feel a little bit and then let the impact build from there. And the longer you're here, you might start to feel a lot of space open up. This might get a little bit more intense. If it becomes intense in a way that you love, breathe into it. If it becomes too intense, you just back off of that. One more round of breath. And then start to walk yourself back up. I'm going to take your right leg and fold it back in and just flip your left leg over. So we start off just a little bit closer like this. Still that foot away from the hip and start twisting over towards your right side. I'm trying to stay a little bit more vertical, but there is a little bit of a tilt over. Feel yourself getting taller as you breathe in. Soften your belly, twist a little bit more as you exhale. One more like that. Breathe in. Breathe out. You're gonna release your twist. You're gonna come down onto your right forearm. Try to leave the knee down, let the hip lift up. If anything lifts, maybe you go back onto both forearms. Sometimes for some of us, just kind of laying down from this point feels really good. But if that's not you, don't worry about it. Stay in a place where it feels reasonable, accessible, someplace you can breathe. Take 2 more deep breaths. And then you're going to take your left hand and cross it over. You get the little doggy paddle to bring yourself up. And then you're going to go over your thigh. If you can get closer to your shin, try to get a little closer to your shin. I find it helps to open that left leg back behind a little bit more. And we'll be here for a while still. See what opens up for you with time. What I kind of like about yin shapes and yin intention is that we don't really need to go seeking out some grand big stretch. We just stay there long enough and it finds us. Even my mom nodded, so my mom was right. Check in and see if there's any place else you can soften as you stay here for about 3 more breaths. And start lifting yourself up onto your hands. We're going to bring these legs back to the place we first started in this diamond shape. I'm going to show from the side. I'm going to move my feet from where I usually take this shape to make it a little bit longer. And then I'm going to come forward and rest. My forearms rest on my shins here and it feels pretty supportive to me. You can also sit on a pillow. You might even take your block or your object and rest here. And we are going to spend a little bit of time here. We'll start moving a little bit more in a moment, but see how much you are able to soften in. Sometimes I use the block as a pillow. It feels kind of neat to relieve that pressure on my neck. You don't have to be folded in very deep. Where you might feel this is kind of right on the underside of that outer thigh, like the outside hamstring. If you feel it a lot in your lower back, go ahead and pick it back up rather than putting tension there. About 2 more breaths. Start lifting yourself up off of however you are supporting yourself. If you have a block, go ahead and set that up by the front of your mat space. That might be where you'll need it. We're going to come into table pose. So pad up your knees if you have any sort of tension going on. And you're going to take your right leg and extend it out by your right side. And you're going to turn your toes up and then down. We don't have to go all the way to the floor, they don't have to go all the way up to the ceiling, but you're just gonna kind of roll that leg around and feel how that changes on the inside of your hip. And I like to leave the toes down to hold the shape and to change my body, but you can leave your toes up or not worry about exactly where the feet are pointing. I'm gonna bring the hands a little bit further forward. Maybe you come down onto your right forearm. Maybe you come down onto your left forearm. can stop at doing one or neither of them. You're just gonna let your tailbone float upwards. Now we're really getting that very inside hamstring. So we got the one end and now we're getting the other end. One more breath in. Nice, easy breath out. We're going to start taking yourself up onto your hands. You're going to bring your right foot up outside of your right hand and start taking some circles around in your hips. Now, if you're feeling a little tender on that bottom knee, then you can just keep your hips in really close to you and kind of wiggle around. If you're feeling pretty good about it, you're going to make some bigger circles around in your hips. After you go in one direction, start taking those circles in the other direction. Then, once you feel like you've gotten about an even amount of circling in both directions, you're going to grab your block, your object, whatever it is. We're going to keep the leg pretty wide. You might wiggle your foot a little bit further forward, and then you're going to pull your hips back, lift your toes, and straight-ish your front leg. So for some of us, it might go totally straight. For some of us, it might be like really rounded. And then instead of straightening your leg, try to lengthen your spine. But if you can lengthen both your leg and your spine, go for it. Try not to hide behind your shoulders. Lift your heart up and forward. And then the bonus points here are going to come when you relax that right hip back, because probably your right hip was lifting up towards your armpit. If you are having an experience anything like mine or most humans in this shape. One more breath in. Breath out. Start to bend into that knee. You're going to work your leg back, set your block off to the side here. And then take your left foot out to the left. Put the bout out from your hip, and you're going to start turning the toe up and down. So you can see how it's changing the way that my hips are tilting. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but honestly, that is how it works. Coming around those hamstrings. And I like to rest with the toes down to start the outside of my ankle, but you don't have to be exact about that. You're going to move the hands a little bit further forward. Maybe you come down onto the left forearm, maybe both forearms. And then sometimes like you kind of tuck in here, you see how my spine is rounded. Instead of that, can you slowly let that tailbone release upwards? Getting a little bit deeper into that inner hamstring and also finding a balanced pelvic space. Balanced sacral space. One more round of breath. And start coming up onto your hands. You can be on fingertips. You're going to work your left foot up outside of your left hand and then start making some circles around so your hips are a little bit more lubricated, a little bit more worked out. And of course, just staying a little bit more like just pelvis rolling around to make sure you're not applying weird pressure to the knee if that's a thing for you right now. And then after you've gone in one direction for a while, start going in the other direction for a while. And when you feel like you're mostly even, I'm gonna settle in, grab your block or your beer growl or whatever you've got to lift your hands up, and then you're gonna start to straight-ish your front leg. And then you're gonna start to lengthen your spine. So it might not get totally flat, and that's okay. It's just kind of opening up your body rather than just kind of sticking with what's, drawn in and crunched in. Just start to work on length. Over time it changes. Maybe now you're able to relax that left hip back a little bit more. One more round of breath. Start to come off of that block. You're going to bend your leg, roll it back, set that block off to your side so it's not going to be up in your way. You might scooch it, knock it over. And then you can lay down on your belly or tuck back into child's pose. So if you're laying flat on your belly, you can use your hands to make a pillow for your head. If you're in child's pose, walk your fingertips out further in front of you. So you're lengthening along that upper back and armpit space. If you're laying on your belly, start wiggling your toes further back behind you, your legs further back. So you're just a little bit longer and more spacious in that side body. Take 3 more deep breaths. Start to walk the hands back in, lift yourself up. We're all going to come down onto our bellies, and you're going to take your right hand and extend it out, make a cactus shape. So you're going to bend into that elbow, palm facing down, look over to the left hand is in for support. Roll that left leg back and feel a stretch along the front of your right shoulder. Let your belly soften. Let your right shoulder soften. Big inhale, big exhale. Roll over onto your belly and switch sides. So you'll take your left elbow out, right hand is in, look to the right, roll the right leg back. And there's possibly some resistance in the front of the left shoulder. It could feel tight. And rather than trying to muscle and throw yourself into a position that loosens it, can you just say, hey, shoulder, just let go, buddy. Just breathe some softness into that space. One more exhale. Roll over onto your belly. You're going to take your hands back, interlace your fingers, and reach the knuckles back, reach your toes back, lift your heart up and forward, Shalabhasana. Inhale, feel your heart lifting and opening a little bit more. Exhale, lower down. Hands under the shoulders, lift your belly up. You're going to leave your knees on the ground, maybe curl your toes under, lift your hips up, push yourself off the mat, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. Do a little walk through your heels, make sure you're strong across that upper back and spread out through your fingertips, maybe bobble head out a little bit. Another breath in, breathing out, and come down onto your knees. Leave your toes curled under. You're just gonna press your hips back so that you get a good stretch in the bottoms of your feet. Kinda like broken toe, but not quite as torturous. And then come up, take one hand, shake your fingers out, flick water off, shake it out, flick water off, maybe roll your wrists around. And then go to the other side, shake water off, flick them around, just get the wrist and the hands, all that blood pumping, and spread your fingers out. Strong hands, push the floor away. Back to downward facing dog. Try to relax your outer calves down. So like the outsides of your legs down to the heels. Then the insides of the thighs lifting up into your pelvis. I really feel that lifting my tailbone up more. Lots more stretch in the back of the legs. Take a breath in, big loud sigh. And then coming into a forward fold, just walk yourself in. Bend your knees, let your head relax, and then start to take your body up towards standing. Excellent. We're gonna take our legs wide. In fact, actually go grab your block. I was like, do we need it? Yeah, why not? Let's use it. It's actually kind of cool to bring this in and let it be just kind of handy for the body. You're gonna take your right toes and turn them out. Take your left toes in. Bring your item, whatever it is, into your hand. If it's heavy, just put it down there in the inside of your foot, because it'll be weird to do this, but it's not heavy. Reach the arms out. Take your hips and tilt them over yonder. And you're going to reach towards the front. So you should feel this big stretch opening. Once you get that big stretch opening, then you're going to take the hand down towards the inside of your leg. If that's too far down, then come back up towards your shin. But if you've got a good placement of that block down, you're going to push your hand down into the block and reach from your left collarbone up through your fingertips. Try to get your ears out of your shoulders. So ears away from tailbone, tailbone away from ears. Big breath in. Big breath out. And draw your belly in. You're going to lift yourself up out of triangle pose. And then you're going to turn yourself to face towards that leg. Take your left foot and just hop it over the left a bit. Yeah, so yeah, this way. And then you're just going to take this down on the inside of your leg. So, good chance your leg wants to bend a little bit here, and you can do that, especially because we're going all the way down towards the floor, towards the block. But if your leg is straight and your spine is long and you're like, I could go for a lower setting on whatever it is that I'm using, you might do that. Stay up here, because I'm going to work on resting the right hip back away from the right armpit, which is where things get exceptionally spicy. Big breath in. Big breath out. Now, you can probably just leave the block behind or take it with you. You're gonna walk yourself over towards the left. Turn your right toes over towards that way, so you've got all 10 toes facing the same side, and just fold in here. Maybe you don't have the block, maybe you're just dropping down in between your legs. It doesn't have to be perfectly, squared off towards that large end. Just have all 10 toes facing the same way. Head is heavy. And you're going to start to put a little bend in your knees, bring your hands to your thighs, lift yourself all the way up. Take a moment for the blood to be where you want it to be. And then we're going to start setting up for the other side. So grab your item, turn your toes over. I'm going to adjust my feet. So we start off with the legs kind of in this tightrope position, and then when we start to square the hips over this way, it doesn't really work, and that's why we do that foot hop over when we get there. Now we have that straight line with the feet, bump those hips over, reach out, you feel all of this opening, and then take it down and lift up. So if this block height, even at its highest setting, is so much that you need to bend the knee or curl your spine, you're going to come up more and allow yourself to have long lines. Maybe you're like, oh, I want to take this down lower, and you can do that. That's absolutely fine. If your body says why, yes, we should do that.
What seems to be the trouble, soldier? You look a little
Reaching ears away from hips, taking both collarbones and extending that energy out into your hands. One more breath in, breathing out. Draw the belly in, lift yourself up. You're gonna hop your right foot over to the right. Turn yourself over, very itchy today. Now take your hand down. You might have the highest setting in your block, lower setting. Maybe you just take your fingertips onto the floor because you've got super loose hammies today. I just did like a crazy butt squeezy lifty exercise this morning, so my hammies are not feeling quite so open. It's okay if the front leg bends.
First of all, one sees a very, very bright light, followed by a sharp wave, and then you hear the sound.
One more round of breath.
It seems as though there's a minor earthquake.
Then you can take the block with you or leave it where it is. You're just going to turn all 10 toes to face the same way. Walk your body over towards the right and take this wide-legged fold. One more exhale. Start to bring your hands up to your legs. Lift yourself up. You bring the legs in. Bring your feet together. Your big toes touch. Actually, you can have a little bit of space between your legs. I was going to twist, but we're not going to twist. You can have a little bit of space in your chair if that helps you feel a little bit more stable. Just set the hips back, reach the arms up. Notice my hips are all the way back there. I could lift my toes up at any point. I'm just going to sit those hips back and lift your heart up to your fingertips. Now try to relax your collarbones. 2 more breaths. One more breath in. Feel those hips sitting back. And stand up. Straighten your legs. Reach up. You're going to take your left knee up. And now you're going to bend back into your right leg. Put the left ankle on your knee. You have to bend back. Oh man, this carpet is so squishy. This balance is so hard. And you sit back. Reach both hips back. One more exhale. See if you can stand up, take the knee up, and then set it down. Try to relax your arms for a moment. That's a lot. And since we have another leg, we'll go for it. Take your arms up, take your right knee up. And you're going to bend back, put the ankle on the knee, and I'm reaching from heart out to my fingertips. Try to soften your inner shoulders. Just trying to prevent any additional tension from building up. Breath is steady, full, hips reach back. One more exhale. And then try to lift the leg up and set it down. Relax your arms. Little things. Okay, in your space, you're gonna take your item, whatever it is, you're gonna put it down about like hip width apart, but instead of having your foot, it's going to be your block. So I've got my foot, and then my block, my item, and then my right foot goes back right behind that. So I've still got my feet hip width apart. My front leg is going to stay pretty straight. I'm going to try to work on that. Take your hands to your hips, square your hips forward, And you're gonna try to keep those hips mostly square as you lean your heart down, and then take the right fingertips and put them down onto your item. Now take your hand to your low ribs. You're gonna soften those low ribs in. Take your left hand to your left shoulder. You're gonna open your left shoulder up. See if you can pull your left hip back away from that shoulder. Now you can stay here. You can put your left hand at your hip or start opening that right arm up. I'm sorry, that's your left hand. You guys are doing great. Like, am I mirroring? Am I not mirroring? I'm not sure. Can you soften your belly and open that twist? Can you drop that left hip back? Exhale. And then hands come to your hip. Lift yourself up. And switch sides. Revolved triangle requires a great deal of work around the hips. You gotta have like some twisting going on. We're gonna have a lot of good alignment, open hammy, all this work we've done preparing to get into this pretty intense shape. So 2 hips face forward. You're blocking your foot or hip width apart, feet are hip width apart. And you're gonna lean forward with your heart. So we practice keeping the spine long, taking the left hand down, release that right hip back, take the right collarbone and shoulder open. And as much as the shoulder opens, that's as much as your arm comes up. Okay? You can see my arm's not straight up and down. I've got more of like a, what is that, like 10:30 going on rather than 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock or 12:30, I suppose. Are you still breathing and softening into those exhales? So maybe you feel a little bit more twist, a little bit more of your right hip pulling back. One more of those exhales. And your hands come to your hips and you stand yourself up. Go ahead and step your feet up. Set your item off to the side. And then bring your feet together. I'm going to reach up and do a little side bend. Hold on to your left wrist. We're going to side bend up and over to the right. Soften those low ribs in. And push down a little bit more on your left foot to get a little bit more space in that hip. Big exhale. Come on up. Switch wrists. Reach up and over. Soften those low ribs. Push down into your right foot. Big breath out. Lift it up. Release your arms down. Separate your feet. Take your hands behind your back. Lift the chest up. Reach the knuckles down. Just let your heart float up. Try not to take your bum and squish it back behind you. You want to lean your hips forward and lift your heart up higher. One more breath in. Exhale, small bend in the knees, fold forward. You can just leave your hands up. You can hold your hands on your hips, or you can float your arms up and let them kind of fall above your head here. Knees as bent as they need for you to feel okay with this fold. Big exhale. And then bring your hands back to your hips, release them, lift yourself up. Good. I'm going to take one more standing shape. I'm going to come into this Buddha squat. So if you are not wanting to have bent leg space, just stand here, let your knees be soft and just feel this weight of your pelvis. So just relax knees if you're not feeling super into some good quad work or good deep shape here. If you want to come down, just this little kind of interpretive dance sort of thing, find that loose, deep place in your hips. My knees and my toes both face out at an angle, not flat to the wall. Push into the pinky toe edges of your feet. Hands on your thighs can be really supportive. Or you can try to bring some softness and mobility in the upper body. Be light. Your upper butt, upper part of butt, relax that down. Maybe you're here for 2 more breaths. However you're standing, feel your connection with the floor. Big exhale. And then come on out of it. You're just going to sit down. Yeah. If you ever find any difficulty with forward folds, you might want to have a pillow or a folded over towel nearby. You can sit on that, and that will help ease a lot of this space. So coming down, have your right leg folded in and your left leg extended. You're going to turn your body towards the right leg or left leg, this leg. You're going to bring yourself over it. My spine is rounding, but I'm not trying to crunch in. I'm letting myself kind of fall over this leg. Keep your toes lifted. If you have to bend the leg a little bit, way better than having any sort of tension in the back. I'm going to keep the leg active. Let your belly soften, rolling your heart towards that thigh. Big breath in. Big breath out. Start walking your hands back in. You're going to take your right hand and extend it about a foot away from your hip. We're going to roll up onto this shin, push the floor away, reach your hips and your heart up into the air. Stargazer, good side body, heart lift. And then lower your hips on down. Just switch to the other side, taking your right leg out. I'm going to turn my body towards this extended leg. I can lift the knee, try to keep the toes lifted, and then let the heart get closer towards your thigh, which could mean it's the thigh coming closer to your heart. Find a place that is not causing any sort of discomfort in that back space. One more exhale. And start walking the hands back. Take your left hand back, roll up onto that shin. Let your heart lift and roll upwards. Big inhale. Exhale, lower it down. We're going to take two legs, extend them out in front of you. We're going to come into a forward fold. And I want you to try to get your belly and your thighs closer together. Notice I even had that impulse to want to lift my thighs into my belly. So if you have a pillow that you put kind of like half underneath your bum here, that can help to propel you forward. So lift your toes and come in. And wiggle around on your hips. I haven't mentioned this in a while. I came out of the womb like this, so this pose is just like normal to me. My mom's laughing. She's like, yes. So I like this pose just feels really good in my body, and most of us, it doesn't feel that way. Find a place where you are able to bring your thighs and your belly closer together, and then find some softness wherever you are at. Wherever you're at is perfect and marvelous, and you're doing a great job. Nice spot. Big inhale. Big exhale. And then start to walk yourself back up. Take your right leg and cross it over. Now hold on to that thigh. Take your right hand behind you. Just soften your belly down. Lift your heart up. Lift the backs of your ears up. One more breath in. One more breath out. Then start to release the twist. I'm going to shift because you're going to take your foot, instead of having it down there, you're going to switch to the pinky toe edge of your foot and bring your thighs in closer together. Now, couple of options. If you want to get a little bit more hip opening, you just kind of do a little twist still over that leg. You can come forward a little bit. You can come forward a lot, but then not only are you getting the outer hip opening, you're also getting a lot of that belly of the hamstring thing. Yeah. This can be a really intense fold. There's a lot going on. You find exactly how much is right for you to be able to breathe in, and that's where you should be. Breath. Start to take yourself up and out of this. Just gently unwind that leg that's been folded over, and then you'll take the other one up. Backhand for support. I'm not back here. Lift it up and down. Ears get higher, and then the belly gets squishier. Releasing your low ribs down. Right ribs over towards the left thigh. One more breath in. Big breath out. And releasing that twist. You might take this leg, fold it up and in. There's some like wiggling around that happens there. And then you can do a little twist, you can do a little fold, you can do a big fold. As with everything, choose your own adventure. Soften inwards. Don't worry about how far you're getting. Focus on what you're feeling like as you work towards wherever you're going. It's about the present moment, not exactly the pose. One more round of breath. And start to take yourself up. Unwind the legs. And you're going to come down onto your forearms. And a bit of this sunbathing shape. Sometimes straight legs feels good. Sometimes bent legs feels good. So take a second and just kind of like test that out for yourself. Then you're going to push down into your forearms so that your heart opens up into the front of your ribs. Might look up, you might let your head rest back. It's up to you what feels better to you. For me, I need the head up. One more breath in. Breathing out. And then let the head come back up, let your heart soften down. You're gonna come all the way down onto your back. Give yourself a nice long stretch with your arms overhead. Then take your right leg, you're gonna pull that in. You can hold behind the knee or on the shin. Flex your left foot. Try to push that left foot out. Even if you have to hold this leg further away, you might have an easier time keeping your left leg straight than normal. If you don't, it's okay to have a little bend. You're gonna feel that sole of the foot reaching out, pressing forward. Finding some length on the front of the left hip, and then whatever you're doing with the right leg, relax it. Let the right leg receive and the left leg be active, which is very different than we often think about this type of shape. Breathing in. Breathing out. Relax the left side. Release the right side down and draw that left leg in. have the right toes active, the foot pressing outwards. Relax that left side. And put as little energy into the left side as you can because you're really active through that right side. One more exhale. Release your left side down. Slide both heels in fairly close to your bum, feet about hip width apart. Wiggle your shoulders underneath your back, palms face down by your side. We're going to come up into kind of a low bridge. So not your biggest one, like medium, like halfway. Just focus on where your legs are engaging. So inner thighs pull up into the pelvis, knees reach forward. Your under butt is squeezing upwards. Maybe you wiggle your shoulders under and you can get your heart a little bit more lifted off of the ground. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, relax your shoulders, release your hips down. So we did one where it's not quite so intense of a back bend. Haven't done a lot of back bends today. In fact, we haven't done bridge pose in kind of a while. But when we come up into this shape again, see if you're able to get up a little bit further, but also thinking about all of those leg engaging, because that's kind of more of where the focus of this pose is, to balance in that pelvis area that we've been folding so much. So go ahead and wiggle those shoulders under, get those hips up there, maybe a little higher. Inner thighs up, knees forward, pushing the feet down, rest, reaching the heart upwards, maybe upwards towards your nose. 2 more breaths. And as you exhale, relaxing your shoulders, your heart, your hips down onto the floor. Rock your hips a little bit side to side. And extend your legs out about mat width apart. Reach your arms up about mat width apart. Finding this nice long X shape with your body. And then take your right ankle, just go ahead and put it right on top of the left ankle. And you're going to reach your right arm over so you can hold on to it with the left wrist. Release your belly to the floor. Maybe a little bit of a pull on your right wrist, and everything else, just kind of let it go. And just be here, letting that space work itself into that side of my body. One more breath. Unwind your arms and your legs, coming back to that X shape, and then taking the left ankle, letting it drop on the right ankle, moving the left hand over so you can hold it with the right hand. Maybe you pull it gently with the right hand, maybe you're softer. It's okay if the left hip is a little bit lighter or lifting up a little bit. Just make sure you're not holding tension there. Just relax that hip down, even if it doesn't go down. One more exhale. Release your arms and your legs. Stretch it out again, big inhale. Ooh, exhale, excuse me, take your knees into your chest, give yourself a hug. Rock around, a little bit of space in the low back. Take the arms and open them out to a T. You're going to take both of your knees over to the right. Find a twist that feels good to you. So maybe you let the knees go further away. Maybe you twist them. Maybe you snuggle it up a little bit more. A little pressure in the back of the right arm can help the left shoulder open up more. And then go ahead and soften wherever you're at. One more exhale. And take the legs up. And a similar feeling twist on the other side. Take a moment to adjust and wiggle what you need to. Maybe a little pressure in the back of the left arm. Relax that right shoulder. One more breath out. And take your legs back to the middle. Set the soles of your feet down a little bit wider than your hips. Let your knees fall against each other. You're actually going to start to roll over. Gently sit yourself up. Take your time with it. Don't get too feisty or wound up. I'm going to come towards a wall space. And if a wall space isn't super accessible to you, if you have like your bed or a couch around, something that you can put your legs up on so your legs are higher than your body. If I have the speaker here, I might just come over and do this, like that kind of thing. That's an option. Or we're going to take legs up against the wall for a little while. So I come over here by the wall and scooch my bum up real close to it. And then lay down, letting the feet slide up and be upside down for a little bit. As focused breath practices are very grounding, hip work is grounding, and as strange as it seems, being upside down can be very grounding. All of a sudden, everything else that's going through your brain seems slightly less important to your brain than the fact that it just noticed you are no longer oriented in space as you usually are, and it wants to know what the heck is up with that. You don't have to have straight legs, especially if your hammies are feeling tender after all of that work. Sometimes bending into the knees, sometimes opening things up, or letting your knees open up. You can take some time to explore some of those options. Now, from this space, if you are having a great time here and you want to hang out a little bit longer or as long as possible, of course, welcome to remain for a bit longer. If you would like to move your way towards Shavasana or knees bent constructive rest Shavasana, or maybe take a seated meditation, this might be the point at which you start to just leisurely work your way into another shape, another space to be in. What can be nice, especially if you notice when you take a seated meditation that your back starts to feel a little bit tender or cranky, you were just by the wall, so you could lean up against the wall. That seems like a better choice for you. If there's any other shapes or movements that you feel the need to take, go ahead and go there. Eventually finding a place to settle in. Rest very well. teacher says that love is saying yes to what is. The most compassionate and connective thing that we can do is to be honest, to see, to be present in the truth of the moment. Even if it's not rosy and delightful, because then if we really see it for what it is, we can find a way to do better, we can find a way to meet that need in other ways. I find most often of all, we're just able to just be happy with who we are, where we are, what we've got going on in this moment. So as you start to work your way back into this moment, start to roll yourself over to one side, offering yourself a moment of gratitude for your practice. When you're ready, you'll find your own version of a comfortable seat. You might bring your hands together at your heart. It doesn't need to look like a yoga pose, just come upwards, preparing to re-enter your day, re-enter your life. We'll breathe in for one Om together. Bowing down to the love inside of each of our hearts, the light and the darkness within each of us. Namaste. Thanks, friends. I'm sitting on my coffee table now. That's my thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks for being here, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. You can always shoot me a message later too.
Thanks, April.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks. Welcome to the crew, Ivana. Glad you're here. Glad you were able to pop in, Rena and Dan.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We're gonna go take a walk.
Yay! Sounds lovely.
If we don't take a nap first, we're pretty tired.
Go outside for about 5 seconds and you will no longer be tired. It's like,
That's true. It's beautiful out there. Yeah.
That's beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, April.
Thank you.
Beautiful day.
Yay.
Right. Bye.
You too. Bye, everybody. Bye, Marco, Victoria.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of the day with your mom.
Thanks. Yeah, we're excited. It'll be fun. Bye.
Bye-bye.